I'm going to have to try to stay calm here because I've been waiting for this moment on this show for a long time. One of my absolute favorites. It's the former NHLer. Everybody loves him. He's the night train. It's Jason Strudwick. Struddy, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, but easy on the night train. I got to explain to my kids what it is now. They're watching this, Jake.
Do you want to stop? Do you want to stop and explain, or should we save that for the after dark version of the show?
Yeah, I'll wait for. I'll wait for them to turn 18. I'll explain what it's all about.
Okay, that sounds good. You are in Edmonton. You live in Edmonton. You grew up watching the '80s Oilers like I did. You finished your career with them. You're in a unique position, having followed this team ever since McDavid was drafted and Draisaitl was drafted, and now to see where they've made it to now. What's the vibe around the city right now?
It's so excited, You look at it. I mean, the Oilers franchise had some great years, and then there were some tough years, and I was part of those teams that struggled at times. And then, you so badly want the teams you've played for, but especially your home team, to just have success, and always for the team, but for the fans. The fans. They fear whether it's Edmonton, Toronto, or Winnipeg. They want their team to do well. They got McDavid, and then they kind of were trying to find their way, and different GMs, different coaches, and now they seem to have the right recipe of both management, coach, and players. And the guys and girls around Edmonton are so excited to see what's going on. There's flags everywhere. There's people honking their horns after every game, and then the costumes. I didn't know Edmontonians are so creative. I mean, some of the costumes we're seeing at these games are like they're next level good. I think they should be in like a Star Wars sequel or something. But it is a lot of fun, and that the people are just embracing this team, and quite frankly, can't wait for this next series to start.
As Cal Nichols once said, it's good for the soul of the city. I think that's how he said it. I thought that was pretty good. So, Struddy, you mentioned, they've got the right management group in place now. But if you had to pinpoint one individual to say, who got this team from those early season struggles, and they were big struggles at the beginning of this regular season, to where they are now, who do you give the most credit to for this turnaround?
Well, when the season began, I truly felt that the team was trying to win the Stanley Cup in the first week. And I've never won a Stanley Cup, but I've kind of followed teams that have, and what it is, I think it's a process, right? Let's get through training camp. Let's get through the first couple games. But I think there was so much hype and build up within the dressing room themselves. They put too much pressure on themselves, and they got off to just a terrible start with that, thrashing by the Canucks on opening night. And then, whatever it was, 6 weeks later, they had a new coach. In walks Chris Knoblauch, very understated, sharp dressed man, no doubt about it. He just not a big yeller, not really too excitable when he speaks, but he was able to get in that dressing room and ask the players to just calm down. Do your own job. Don't worry about doing everyone else's job. Trust everyone. He asked players in depth positions to have really important roles, and he empowered them to have penalty killing roles. And now the Oilers have one of the best, penalty kills of franchise history. And he did all that, and got the team back on track. To bring them to where they are now. And I think that, Chris Knoblauch has been so instrumental in all those things, along with Paul Coffey, along with Mark Stewart, and they find themselves here because they had the talent, they had the team, but the guys they were so tense. Now they're just playing, and you can see the success they've had in the last 3 rounds.
Jason, Bruce Boudreau was on this show last week. He feels the Oilers benefit when they play a heavier game, and now they're going to face a very physical Florida Panthers team. Based on what you've seen from the Oilers this year, how do you think they stack up in that department?
Well, oftentimes skill is associated with smaller players, but that's not the case, especially in this series. You look at Barkov for Florida, then look at Leon Draisaitl. Connor McDavid's a big guy. You got Hyman, who plays heavy. You've got Evander Kane. On the back end, they've got Nurse, Bouchard, Ekholm, all big guys. So they are able to play in those physical games. We've seen the Kings and the Canucks both try to run the Oilers out of the rinks, and with their size, they're able to roll off that. But what they need to do when you're out there going to play, and a guy like Evander Kane is really good at this, it's better to be the giver than the receiver. And what I mean by that is that if you wait for the Florida Panthers to come out and get you, they're not going to disappoint you. They're going to come. They're going to forecheck. They're going to be physical. They're going to be hard. They're going to be in their face. So expect that. So I think for the Oilers, they have to be ready to meet this challenge and know that it might take 7 games, and it might be 7 games of living hell, but it's going to be worth it. But don't be surprised by physicality. You'd rather bring it then receive it.
You know, everyone's talking about McDavid and Draisaitl, but I feel like the heart and soul of this team in the dressing room just might be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, because I've never seen a player receive more effusive praise from his coach, from former coaches, from his fellow teammates. Stuart Skinner said he's my favorite player growing up. I'm playing with him. He's a lifelong Oiler. He's quiet. He's understated. But, man, does he play a great two-way game now. What do you think this means for a guy like him?
Well, Nuge is committed to this team, right? He was a first overall pick. He's been through, I don't know how many coaches, how many teammates, how many general managers, and he's been steady. He's been here. He's never complained. He always comes ready to play. He brings his best, and he affects the game in so many different ways, right? The power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5, he's everywhere. So, you know, he's one of the players you're truly happy to see doing well. A lifer, you know, and he's playing on a contract that's very, very team friendly. So when you're looking at Nugent-Hopkins, you can see him on that bench. You see other guys showing a lot more emotion, but inside and behind that greasy little mustache is a guy who's really proud and happy to be an Edmonton Oiler.
Jason, before we move on, I got a clip for you. Let's take a listen to Zach Hyman following the Oilers' Game 6 victory on Sunday night. He was asked the question about whether the Edmonton Oilers are now Canada's team. Take a listen.
I just came from Ottawa. Everyone's cheering for the Oilers. The coast.
That's nice.
Any additional pressure knowing you're Canada's team now?
Well, I don't know if Toronto's cheering for us, but it's nice your Ottawa is.
So, yeah, are you shocked at all that Zach wouldn't think that Toronto's cheering for the Oilers in the Cup Final?
I don't know. I mean, this whole Canada's team or Americans team, like I kind of get it, but honestly, I don't know if it's that easy to cheer for someone you just passionately want to do poorly when you play them, like Edmonton, Calgary. I remember when Calgary was on that run, there was a lot of Oilers fans that did cheer from. It has been a long time since the Canadian teams won the Cup. And I do feel like this is probably going to sound a bit biased, Jay. I do think this team is likable. You know, led by Connor McDavid. They've got some, you know, a lot of Canadians on the team, and they've got a lot of guys that have played in different markets across Canada. I do think they're likable, and I think that, you know, as fans get engaged in this playoff run and this final, I think they'll find they maybe do enjoy this team a lot and will, you know, begrudgingly cheer for the Oilers. But I'm not sure if there's a lot of people out there just saying, yeah, I'm gonna go get an Oilers jersey and cheer for these guys and then hate them again next year.
Well, and how about, you mentioned Flames fans, Jason, like they're staring down the possibility of either their provincial rivals winning the Cup or their former star player who spurned them, right, Matthew Tkachuk and the Florida Panthers winning the Cup. Like, it's Sophie's choice for Flames fans, isn't it?
It's really hard. It is really hard. And I honestly, I think in that choice, I would probably cheer for the Oilers, right? Because, you know, you didn't choose to, you know, the Oilers didn't leave you. Chuck chose to leave you, and he's doing so well. I mean, you see all these videos of him riding around a golf cart. He's got a perma tan. He's looking good down there. He's loving life. And the team has kind of, you know, gone a little bit soft there in Florida, or in Calgary. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for Flames fans, but I honestly, listen, at the end of the day, there needs to be a Canadian team to win it. This is the one this year. The Oilers are in there. I think they have a good opportunity to beat the Florida Panthers. Won't be easy. So let's celebrate it. Maybe next year it could be your team, Toronto, maybe, or your team, Winnipeg, or your team, Vancouver. And we can all, maybe Canadian team's going to get on a roll.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how it all goes. But I'm with you. I think you cheer for who you cheer for. You host the Got Your Back podcast with our friend, Edmonton Oilers reporter, Edmonton Bureau Chief Ryan Rishaug. Florida to Edmonton, Jason, the furthest distance between two cities in Stanley Cup Final history. How do you think Shoggy is going to hold up with the travel?
It's not going to go well. I quite honestly think they might have to wrap him in a hyperbaric chamber, get him there and back. You know, like he's fallen apart. You know, I think at the tender age of 47 or 48, whatever he is, it's going to be tough. And I've counseled him about it: rest, water, hydration, and stretching. But he refuses to stretch. I don't know what it is. I've seen him. He can barely bend over to pick up his bag, much less touch his toes.
Yeah, it's a problem. Hopefully he gets bumped up to business class, gets a little room to stretch the legs. Jason, this is so fun to chat with you, buddy. Hope we can talk to you throughout the Stanley Cup Final, but enjoy Game 1 on the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait. Thanks again, Jay.